In here, there you go. Good go.
Okay, we are at 4 o'clock on March 11th to have the Budget and Finance Committee monthly meeting. I'd like to convene it and have roll call taken. Thank you.
Chair Bob Russ,
Here.
Vice Chair Brian Margay,
I hear.
Nikki Ramos Bevan,
Here.
and Carl Larson.
Sure.
Thank you. Okay, any changes to the agenda, Jason? And okay, and I don't think we have any.
Yep.
Okay, so we'll move on. Any oral communications that don't have to do with anything on the agenda from anybody here at the table? And I assume no one's online.
Nobody with their hand up.
No one with their hand up. Okay. How many do we have?
Just one person, one employee.
Oh, okay, great. Okay, and so moving on to new business. We have the pleasure of listening to Cherie tell us, give us a little training.
Sure, yeah.
Alright.
At the last meeting, it was mentioned that, you know, you might not know a whole lot about the district, so figured we could go over a few things. And let me share my screen real quick. Oh. All right, so our district at a glance, we serve about 25,000 people. Our service area is 60 square mile, pipeline 190 miles. Our connections, we have about 7,900. Our staffing within the district is 37 employees, and we do have a small wastewater system that services about 56 homes.
Do we have part-time employees? Or are they all full-time?
I believe everybody's full-time.
Yeah.
Is that
We have one part-time employee.
one
All
part-time?
part-time?
Okay.
Okay, just curious.
So utility finance is a little bit different than normal governmental finance because it is an enterprise fund, which means that it runs more like a business. And then it's very infrastructure heavy, compliance driven, and capital intensive. We are constantly needing new things to keep up with our compliance for the state and local regulations. So it's definitely a big CIP. I don't know where I was going with that. All right, our district money.
Would you mind just going into a little more detail about what is an enterprise? I forget enterprise fund and how that differs from other agencies.
Sure. So there's a governmental fund and a proprietary fund and an enterprise fund. Governmental is what would be the general funds for a city, a county. They are more regulated in that what funds a governmental fund is taxes. So it's going to be your sales tax, your property tax, those sort of things. And then expenditures that go along with just the general business type activities, or governmental type activities, I should say. Whereas an enterprise fund, your main source of revenue is going to be your rates, not necessarily taxes. It's going to be rates and fees. And we'll go into that a little bit later. With enterprise funds, so I came from the city, if you guys remember that. We had two enterprise funds. We had our wastewater fund and our transit fund. Those could never be spent to pay our police officers, right? It has to be within its own fund. So with an enterprise fund, we're covering everything that needs to be covered in order to provide our services. And luckily we only have one kind of fund, so it's nice and easy for me.
Thank you. So it's this direct relationship between the delivery of water the provision of water is the
Right.
service, and all of the rates are tied in with that.
Yes,
And there's no, there's not a whole lot of discretion about what you might use your generated revenue for.
right.
Thanks.
And how about from a financial reporting perspective? Are there differences there?
So if you had multiple funds, you would have to delineate them from governmental activities and business type activities. We
Okay.
only have business type.
Just business.
And then you would also have to show each fund individually. In Ridgecrest, I think I had 40 funds. We have 2.
Wow, that's a big difference. Yay.
So, yeah, there is a little bit of a difference when it comes to the financial report, the audited financial report. But nothing too big.
Okay. And what are our two funds?
We have our water fund and then we have our wastewater fund.
Ah,
We keep those separate.
okay, gotcha. And it's only 56 homes.
Yeah, it's a very small
Very
fund.
small.
The
fund.
budgets are a little different.
Yeah, just a little bit. Okay. And
Are there any other sources of revenue besides the rates? Like, for example, government grants, et cetera?
Yes, so we'll go over that a little bit later in this presentation, but yes, there are.
And proprietary funds are related to,
Proprietary funds are, I never had to deal with them, so they're not fresh on my mind.
okay,
I have to go back to school at this point. Proprietary funds are typically, well, I don't want to give you the wrong information.
that's okay.
so
No
I'm not
problem. I'm
gonna-
just curious.
but they're so secret that no one knows.
Proprietary, the knowledge is proprietary.
I was gonna give an example and I'm like, no, I don't think that's quite right, so I'm just not gonna.
Okay. Okay, thank
All
you.
right.
Yeah.
So, how our money works, we have our customers, they pay their rates and service fees. And then, those rates and fees become our revenue along with grants and debt. And then we use that revenue to then deliver the service of water. And, we have to be able to be reliable in our water service. And then we also have to be compliant in all of the rules and regulations that I mentioned earlier. So if you think about it as like gears or dials, we have our rates and demand, our operating costs, our capital or CIP, and then reserves and debt financing. And whenever you change one of the dials, it's going to affect all of the other dials. And then this committee is just going to kind of, weigh the trade-offs of moving each dial and how that supports the district.
And I was just going to add, Sherry, that included in district revenues, we do get about $1.25 million a year in property taxes. We get a little piece of property taxes for those that are in our district.
Okay.
So then where the money goes, this is our budget for fiscal year 25-26, and then fiscal year 26 and 27. We prepared a biennial budget this last time. So for fiscal year 25-26, the total appropriations were 27.7 million, 14.7 million in capital, 10.3 million in operating, and then 2.7 million in non-operating. For fiscal year 26-27, total appropriations 24.8 million. The capital is 10.4 million, operating 11.1 million, and non-operating 3.3 million. Where the money comes from, for fiscal year 25-26, we have budgeted for 28.9 million in revenue. 14 of that is coming from water rates, 6.5 is from debt, and 5.4 million from grant. For fiscal year 26-27, we're estimating our revenue to be 27.9 million. Water rates are 15 million, debt 10 million, and then grants 1.1 million.
And I might add, I mean, we would love to get 5 million in grants a year, but none of us are holding our breath for that. It may very well be at the million rate. And if FEMA comes through, then we hope we'll get paid back for some of the things we've had to do.
Go, you go.
Are more people moving into the district? So the rates going up from more access to it, or is it the price is going up or both?
The rates are going up. We did a rate study and so that covered 5 years. So we have 2 more years of increases for our rate study, and then we'll be going out and getting a new one before that time is up.
So why is the revenue going down from rates if more people are moving into the valley and the rates are higher?
We haven't seen a significant growth in population,
Oh, okay, understood.
and there's been conservation. So we've seen less water sold.
Interesting, okay.
It looks like the grants went down quite a bit.
And the grants went down by 4 million. Yeah,
Yeah.
that's a huge drop. Maybe you can walk everybody through what Prop 218 is and what it allows a district like ours to do.
Sure, so Prop 218 is basically, we have to go to the voters before we do any increase. They have a right to say no if they don't want an increase, but then that prevents us from getting more revenue, which then prevents us from doing the repairs or the work that we need to do in order to provide the service. So it's a give and take, and it's really up to the ratepayers.
And as Sherry had just outlined, we've got 2 more years of 7% per year increases. So those are baked into the budget here. But then we would have to go back out, and we're not even allowed to have an inflation adjustment without doing a Prop 218 rate study and then put it in front of the voters to say yay or nay.
And
So-
it's important to note that whenever a Prop 218 is done, that sets the bar for the maximum increase. The board has the ability to set any rate up to that point. So 7%, if something came about and said, you know, we don't need 7%, we only need 6%, the board could do that without doing another 218.
But after the time frame, it's zero, right? From
Right.
that point.
It's zero
afterward.
until you set another.
You said another.
Got it, okay.
Okay.
And was there more, I see the debt went up by 4 million. I'm just curious whether, take out more loans last year or were there projects?
So we're in the process of getting a COP right now, certificate of participation, which is kind of like a loan. And so when the budget was done, we weren't sure what the plan was as far as the debt. The budget, it's really important to remember that it's a living document, so it's going to be constantly changing. And with doing a biennial 2-year budget, there's a lot of unknowns for that second year. And so I think that's probably part of it, is just not knowing what debt we were going to accumulate in fiscal year 26 versus 27.
One of the things I had apologized to Carl before you arrived, Nikki, was that I was remiss in putting on today's agenda a review of the budget simulations that we had presented to the board a week or so ago. But where the debt of 6.5 million this fiscal year and then 10 million comes from is that the board will be considering a 16.5 million certificate of participation next week. And so that's where those 2 tranches of cash come from to then pay for a lot of construction.
Okay.
Okay.
Thank you.
Is it fair to call that a bond?
Yeah, it's like a mortgage.
Yeah,
It's,
the type of.
It really is. Yes, I think that's fair. I mean, maybe legally it's a little different, but it works the same way and
For all
you have the
intents and
same debt
purposes.
service ratios and yeah, so I think that's fair. I look at it as a mortgage. In this case,
Right.
we're having a wraparound mortgage because we already have 4 or 5 other loans that we're also paying off every year. And so this one wraps around all of those and it's for a 24-year term. Okay, at about, we think 4.5%.
Okay.
So And it qualifies as municipal financing, so it's tax exempt, which allows, to bring in investors that would be interested in saving some tax money. Yeah.
But there's no outside vote like with the school bond, for example, for the certificate. It's just something the board agrees to do and does.
Yep.
Okay, very
Yeah,
good.
the board has the power.
Right, okay. Very
Yeah.
good.
With schools, they're a little bit different because that goes directly on your property tax.
Yes, it does.
So if you look at your property tax bill, you're gonna see
Oh, I
all
see it.
those school bonds.
Yep.
We're all still paying for Redwood Elementary that's been closed for 15 years. Don't get me
Yes.
started.
Yeah, there's the
$700 a
irony.
year. I know.
Yeah.
All right, so operating versus capital, we have our operating costs, which are payroll, utilities, chemicals, insurance, and then we have our capital or CIP. And those are bigger projects like replacing pipelines or getting new equipment. So part of what the board and the committee look at is our O&M assumptions realistic? Are we controlling cost? Are we being transparent with our expenditures? And then also, what is the risk of delay? If we say we can't purchase a piece of equipment this year, what's the risk of not getting that piece of equipment? Or how is it going to be funded? Are we going to get a different COP, or are we going to raise rates? So that's part of what the committee and the board look at as far as our expenditures.
And I have an acronym thing, so I am compulsively driven to define acronyms. So CIP is Capital Improvement Project?
Or plan.
Yes, so
Yeah.
it can be different things, capital improvement project or capital in progress. So it just depends on what report you're looking at and who is auditing your financials.
Fascinating. And it could mean similar things in those two contexts.
Those are similar, they're very similar. It's just, I think capital in progress is more of an older term. That's just kind of been carried over, but.
Because it tends to be things that are in the works as opposed to something that's planned to start next week that wouldn't be in process. Right. So
Gotcha.
that would be
Thank
a subtle difference, I guess.
And then I don't know what SCADA refers to, but it's all the electronic switches and monitors that tell us how much water's in the tanks and what valves are open and closed.
Supervisory control and data acquisition.
All right.
All right. Cool.
Yeah, and it's used throughout the utility industries, PG&E, all the electric guys, the gas guys, water, everybody uses SCADA. And I hate to say it, it's a pain and very expensive.
It's expensive.
But it works well and has
But if you
decades
want to
of
look at the
history.
system at a glance, it's there.
Yeah.
So,
You don't have to send people in their trucks to the top of the mountain to stick a tape measure down the tank.
That's right, better than that.
Do that.
Right.
And then just to give a little reference to magnitude that Sherry was referring to, when you look at the overall replacement value of what the district has, it's about $470 million. 400 million of that is pipeline, ranging from 1 inch or even smaller than that, up to 8 or 10 inches. A lot of it needs to be replaced. And then a lot of, tanks and pumps and boosters and waste treatment treatment plants, that kind of stuff. So there's a lot of stuff that needs to then get into the CIP long-term program of maintaining it and replacing it where it's old or wearing out.
don't shortchange us. We have some 12-inch out there.
Do we?
Yeah.
Wow. Wow.
Yeah,
Okay.
one way I think about it is there's this map over here of the service area running from well north of Boulder Creek down to Scotts Valley and out to Lompico. And every single road pretty much has a pipeline running under it or next to it. So there's a lot.
There's a lot, yeah. Well, you said 190 miles,
Right.
right? Yeah, it's a lot.
Where do the emergency funds come from when something busts and you weren't prepared for that?
We'll get to that.
Okay. All right.
She's got a whole slide associated with that.
Okay.
All right, so I I often say that my life in finance revolves around two books, and it's the budget book, and then it's the audited financial statements, or ACFR, which is the annual comprehensive financial report. So for the budget, the focus of that is the cash and the near-term resources. It's used for planning and control, much like your personal budget. And it is a living document, so it's going to continuously change, just like your personal budget. My go-to example is, you know, say you've used up all of your going out to eat funds for your monthly budget, but then it's Friday and you don't want to cook, so you go grab a pizza. You know, it's going to change. And then for our financial statements, those follow GAAP, which is generally accepted accounting principles. And it focuses on our revenues earned and expenses incurred. And it's basically looking at the long-term financial picture. We do have an independent auditor. They are the one that prepare the financial statements. They look over everything. We provide them reports and documentation of what we've done throughout the year, and then they take it and review it, audit it, and then make that report for us.
And just for, again, you know, getting a handle on some of the numbers, even though our replacement value for all of our infrastructure is almost $500 million, what's the book value? It's under 100 million, right? It's 80 million or something. I forget exactly.
Yeah, I would have to look.
But, you know, and so when we do a GAAP financial income statement, the depreciation that we're allowed to take, of course, is much smaller because it's just the book value of what this stuff cost us to put in years ago, right? Whereas to actually replace it and put it into the CIP going forward is a much bigger number.
Yeah.
And so you just have to bear that in mind, that book value is very different from kind of the real world. What does it take to really replace this stuff, right? And then on the debt service side, where the budget is, assuming that the board votes for this COP, the 16.5 million COP, it will increase our annual debt service payment to just under 3 million. Okay, and we're at I think about 2 million now. Yeah, we're about 2 million now, and we'll be at 2.8 with that, 2.9. Okay, just to give you a hands-on. So it's a big chunk of our revenues, you know, and that's the trade-off, is how much do you fund internally and how much do you go out and get debt for? Thanks.
All right, so a lot of people, when they look at the audited financial statements, they say, wow, this is way too complicated. I'm not looking at this. So just to kind of break it down a little bit, our net position, it shows our assets and our liabilities. It's basically what we own and then also what we owe. And then it shows revenue and expenses. So we're looking at, did the revenues cover our costs throughout the year? And then our cash flows, you know, where did the cash go? Operations, capital, financing. It shows all of the different areas and where our cash went for that year. So when you look at our fiscal year 25 audit, our net position was 51.34 million. And our unrestricted net position was 8.85 million. And so our net position actually increased 12% by 5.49 million from fiscal year 24.
Yeah.
And then, so here's where you were asking where our emergency reserves come from. This is our reserve policy. We just approved this back in January. We have 3 sections, 3 categories of reserves. We have our operating reserve, which helps with cash flow stability or anything unusual, something breaks down. Well, that would be emergency, but anyways, so our target operating reserve is 4 months of budgeted operating expenses.
Right. So that could be a drought or something, right?
Something that breaks down doesn't necessarily constitute emergency, so Would come out of
That's
capital.
true. That's
Emergency
true.
has to be declared by the board.
That's true.
Okay,
Well, any of our reserves have to be approved by the board before we use them.
okay.
Capital reserve would be used for replacement or rehabbing or getting new assets. And our target reserve amount would be 3 million to be replenished within 3 years if we ever fall below that target. And then our emergency reserve is for disasters, major failures, public safety events. Our target for that is 4 million, which with a replenishment of 3 years if it ever falls below that target.
And just for reference on the capital side, we're looking at, we hope, self-funding of say 3 to 5 million a year. So we would try to keep this capital reserve in place, but if for some reason we really needed to do a little extra in a year, then the board could vote to use some of that 3 million. And then, of course, build into the budget the replenishment of whatever we had used.
And those are separate, so it's like $7 million in the capital and emergency fund combined.
Right, and then it's about 3.5 for the operating.
Okay,
So yeah, we've got about 10.5 allocated to reserves.
and that's earning interest somewhere? Or no, it's not, that's not how you think of
It
it. Oh, it is.
So we have two places where we put our money, the Santa Cruz County Fund, and then LAIF, which is the
That's okay.
Local agency.
Investment Fund.
Okay,
So many acronyms in finance. Both of those are earning right about 4% right now.
okay.
In fact, interest is
That offsets the interest.
a couple 100,000 a year, right? Or something like that. So it's actually a chunk,
Right.
the interest earned.
Market did pretty well last year.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah. But yeah, it sure did.
So then this is just kind of a snapshot of our financials as of December 31st. We had 14.9 million of total cash. Of that, 12.8 million was operating cash and 2.1 was restricted. Restricted cash is something that has to be used for a designated purpose. So that an example of that would be our fire surcharge. In reserves, as I mentioned, we have about 10.5 million. And so our operating cash minus our reserves, we're looking at 2.3 million. And then to look at our budget to actuals as of December 31st, we've received 56% of revenue. We've spent 38% in our non-capital expense, and the change in our working capital, we budgeted about 1.1 million and we've seen 2.24 million. And that's neither good or bad, that's just kind of informational. And then you cannot see it on here, but I did include the next 2 year of CIP projects and where the funding is coming from, just for your information.
Maybe you can just read out a couple of the bigger numbers.
Sure.
Yeah.
So let's see, the Lion Complex Access Road, that looks like a big one.
And that's how much?
That is
5 million,
5.5,
5.5. Okay.
FEMA grants 2.75.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. You can see the FEMA grant column there. Yeah.
What does surcharge mean?
so that's our fire surcharge.
Oh, got it. Okay.
Yeah.
After the CZU.
You want to
they
describe
set
what
up
that is?
I'm sorry.
No, go ahead.
After the CZU, they set up a $5 million fire surcharge fund to replace certain infrastructure that was tied to that fire. So it can, as Free said, it can only be used for those purposes.
So that's all I had. I just kind of wanted to, facilitate a really good discussion, which we ended up having.
Thanks.
So yeah, I'm open for any questions.
I looked up those funds, by the way.
Proprietary,
Proprietary.
Okay.
educate us.
The enterprise fund is a kind of proprietary fund,
Okay,
and it says that it is has to be used for a special, so it basically like rates, you get they're recovered through user charges or fees rather than taxes. And there's two different kinds of proprietary funds, enterprise fund, and the other one is internal service funds is what they call it.
Ah,
Hmm.
okay.
So like this
I had one of those
department,
too.
huh?
I had one of those too.
Okay, so like the police department is helping out a different department, yeah.
So they bill each
They're
other.
charging
Yeah.
for it, yeah.
Okay. Very good.
So technically that would be covered under governmental, but an ISF would be like the fleet department repairing the police vehicle.
Right.
Or the public works vehicles.
Mm.
And so every department pays into the fleet department. That's how it worked back in Ridgecrest.
Perfect.
Yeah,
Okay.
we all learned something today.
Yeah, very good.
On the emergency, so there was a question about emergency and what happens, and I don't know if we spent enough time on that slide, I think it was 2 slides previous. So I don't know if, oh, great, you guys did that. That must have been when I had to take that call. Great. So yes, this is all, has been the subject of a lot of discussion over the past 4 months or so, trying to figure out what are the right numbers for these and are they sufficient for the kinds of emergencies that we run into and stuff like that. There was quite a bit of scenario analysis looking at the, the worst, the fire plus the pandemic plus the flood, how close to zero did the budget get? And well, let's make sure we have at least that much plus a buffer for whatever the 4th disaster we might see simultaneously. The next time around. Right.
Yeah.
Okay, good. Sorry for not being in the
Oh, no
room
worries.
at that moment.
I figured you're more than familiar with our reserve policy.
Yeah, that's right.
Yeah, it well.
Any other questions I can try and answer or?
Anything at all? Now's the time.
Well, I guess, is there any like broader context we should be aware of when looking at these numbers? Because I'm totally fresh to this process and I don't know how the budget looked years ago, or I know there was some talk about the reserves, but I'm just wondering, is there any big picture context that we really just need to think about as we move through these conversations? Besides your questions, which were great, right? Balancing thing.
Well, one thing I will add, and again, I apologize for not having put this on the agenda so that we could actually spend some time looking at the district's new simulation model, because I would love for both of you to spend some time with it and play.
Okay.
But it looks at the current certificate of participation that we're going to vote on for 16.5 million, and then it looks at other over time certificates of participation, and and in steady state every possibly 4 or 5 years having to take out another 8 or 10 million, doing a 30-year levelized, like a mortgage repayment. So the debt service, goes up and up, and then sort of stabilizes at a point. And one of the key questions for us as a district is that if the ratepayers are comfortable with us, let's say, increasing our rates at 1 or 1.5% above the inflation rate every year, so it in real terms is actually a growing number, then it allows the district to self-fund 75% of this work. And we will need to do this for 25 to 50 years to eventually get through $500 million of infrastructure.
Right.
And so in a way, we're kind of setting up, I hope, kind of a mechanism to sort of forward project what do we need to do, and then the discipline that we need to do to make sure that we're really, watching our expenses. And obviously we have to meet all of the covenants of the debt service, right? They typically are 1.25, no more than at 1.25 debt service coverage ratio, so that you're at least covering your debt by an extra 25%. And the scenarios that our advisor and the model shows that we're at 1.5 to almost 2 times. So that gives us some breathing room for the disasters that will probably happen. One disaster, I guess, and I don't know, maybe Scott, you have the history. What happened during Loma Prieta? Because we had 4 other disasters
That was before me.
That was
a
even
while
before you.
ago.
Okay. Yeah, because that was 89, right? So that was a long time ago.
And
Yeah.
I think they lost a tank.
Oh,
Oh.
that's not too bad.
No.
Yeah.
But there was a lot of ground movement. And so there was, and communications was down. So a lot of, footwork with it, with that, with regards to that.
Gotcha. Okay. And pipes weren't disrupted too badly?
I don't have a full picture of all that,
Yeah,
but I know that the guys were working pretty seriously about it.
Right. But we've had landslides, like the Lions work that Scott had referred to, the 5.5 million was a landslide that happened just few years ago, right? Few years ago. When we had some record rains. I mean, almost the
That was
record
here.
rain for
Yeah.
the area.
That's a crazy year.
And then, of course, the fire was, huge. We had a lot of above ground pipes gone,
Mm.
just, vaporized. And lost a lot of other infrastructure as well, and debris flows and some floods, and yeah, so we've had our share.
And so that we've got this huge inventory of aging infrastructure and the opportunity or the importance of replacing it, ideally before it fails and requires some more costly emergency repair to it. So that's this body of work to chip away at. And then, as Bob mentioned, taking out debt means paying for things plus interest. That's not as desirable as paying as you go.
Right.
And so figuring out how to structure the work, the loans, and the rates to allow, as Bob mentioned, maximizing the pay-go portion of it so that we're just paying for things in real time rather than borrowing and then paying for that and interest. And yet there is a certain degree of urgency to keep making progress so that if you only relied on the pay-go strategy, you might never catch up, or you might not get things taken care of in time to avert more expensive emergency type repairs.
It's also important to, on that same point, to just mention a philosophical issue, almost ethical issue, which is when we replace pipes, the lifetime is 75, 100 years.
50 to 75.
Yeah, 50 to 75. So if this generation of ratepayers pays everything right now, we're really benefiting generations way into the future. And that's where a mortgage or a bond payment, it makes a little more sense, because we're sort of spreading out the pain over, say, 30 years, right? But we have so much infrastructure to do that the balance is, we do as much pay-go as we can, maybe for 25 years. And then we're at the point where, okay, now we're sort of, I hope, in sort of steady state. So there's that trade-off too, and as Brian mentioned, in the grand scheme of things, with 4.5% or even 5% interest, you're more than doubling what you're paying.
Right.
Right. I mean, so it does add up over time. And, we, in 25 years, we're hitting $7 million in debt service, by these simulations. And of course, our revenues are growing too.
Right.
So it's not as bad as it sounds, but there's a balance, yeah.
Do we know what the average household of a certain size pays for water in the valley?
Yeah.
I don't.
Well,
I can tell you- I can
it's
tell
on the order of 120 to 100.
I was thinking 120 because I think it was double what we were paying in Ridgecrest, but
Yeah, I think the average household is between 4 and 6 units, and a unit is about 750 gallons.
Okay.
Okay. And we have relatively expensive water. We're at basically $10 to $12
we're on the high side of the median,
Feels like
high
that.
side of the median. Is that a euphemism or something?
maybe.
Are we at the 99th percentile? Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay.
There are other agencies that have more expensive water than we. SoCal being one of them.
Interesting.
Oh, really? Interesting. Yeah.
We have the organization I work for the Land Trust of Santa Cruz County. We have a property in the Soquel service area, and we pay $120 a month without using any water, just for the existence of the meter. It's $120 a month.
Fascinating.
Wow.
We
Wow.
keep wondering, why
That's
do we have
amazing.
this thing?
Yeah, why? Wow, okay.
Yeah.
I lived in Monterey years ago, and their water was pretty spendy down in the Monterey area. I don't think they have a lot of natural water
No,
sources.
they just put in a
Monterey.
desalinization plant.
Yeah, that's
For-
it. So yeah, and they recycle the ag water, I think, not in the homes, but they've got like those programs. So there are other places that are
That's
hurting for
true.
water, and I remember that being quite a bit.
Right.
Yeah.
I think our challenge is we have plenty of water falling from the sky, but the community is so sprawling,
Yeah.
just
Yeah,
all over the map, that getting water to where someone has a tap is a lot of miles of pipe, lots of landslides, lots of
We have
bridges.
over 30 different zones.
Isn't that amazing?
But
That
put
is
it in
amazing.
perspective, there's 190 miles of pipe here for over 30 zones, and in Ridgecrest, I had over 300 miles of pipe for 5.
and a zone is basically a pressure zone, right?
Okay.
So as you go up, say 100 feet, you have to increase the pressure by about 50 pounds per square inch, 50 PSI. So
Okay.
you're having, people live up in the mountain, well, you got to pump the water up there,
Yeah.
right? So I didn't know we had 30 zones. That's amazing.
35 or
32?
30, yeah, somewhere in that
Really?
range of
Wow.
and over 50 tanks and
Okay. And the rate is the same no matter what zone you live in?
currently.
Interesting.
Currently.
Right. Yeah, that's
It's
interesting. isn't
interesting.
it?
I know.
Uh-huh.
So you're,
Yeah.
okay, we'll get to
It's
that
kind of
later.
like
Yeah.
mailing a letter costs the same, whether it's across the street or to someone
Across
in the
the-
middle of South
Oh, yeah.
Dakota at the end of a long road.
It's interesting. True. Good
Yeah.
point.
But I mean, it's a good point, Nikki, because if it really costs a lot more money to pump it to that last person at the top of the hill, maybe that should be a separate rate structure. So we're not at that point, but
Right.
in a few years, we'll be contemplating another Prop 218.
Leah did mail out your presentation from the board meeting to
Oh, good.
committee members.
Oh, thank you. Okay, so you'll see
Oh,
it.
thank you. Okay, very good.
And I'm also happy that's just the PDFs, and I'm happy to share the model with you as well.
Okay.
Would love for you to play with it and just see what you think. Yeah, good. Great questions. Yeah. Okay.
That's all I had.
Sherry, okay. Okay.
Right. That's the sum of the agenda for today.
Yeah.
Is this something we could get a copy of or no? What you presented today?
Yes, so it is available on the website in the agendas.
Okay.
And then if you wanted a copy of the PowerPoint, I can send that to you.
Okay.
Yeah, that would be great. It's all
Okay.
kind of new to me, the terms and such. Yeah.
So this is kind of random. I got an email about a dinner reception in April, and it was like the Friends of San Lorenzo Valley. That's a different nonprofit organization, right? Because I was wondering where that came from. I'm like, it's got to be connected to this amount. Did you get that email
did,
too?
yeah.
Oh, okay, good to know. So it wasn't just me. Yeah.
Yeah, they got their eyes on. Yeah, it's a organization that's been around for 5-6 years.
Oh, okay.
And yeah, they just like to pull people together.
Yeah.
And
Yes, I would call it like an affinity group for the water district.
That's what it seemed to be. It was like kind of like a traditional nonprofit, like friend of
Yep.
this organization sort of thing.
Right.
Yeah.
And since it would be inappropriate for the water district to buy dinner for people, they want to buy dinner for all the people volunteering their time to serve on the committees
Okay.
and say thanks.
Yeah, that's what I thought it was.
Yep.
Cool.
and I will say the restaurant, is it the
The New Mexico.
Corazon de Leon is
Yeah. It's good.
Oh,
good.
Cool.
Yeah,
All
we
right.
tried it out a week ago and
Very good.
very, very pleased. Yeah. The only other thing I wanted to mention, speaking of $120 fixed rates, is when we redid our rates a few years ago, we changed to at least half of our revenues are fixed now. And so that means even if someone reduces it theoretically to zero, they're still paying, say, $60 a month, 60, 65 a month
Interesting.
for just the privilege of having a connection.
Right.
And then it's say $10 to $12 per unit after that.
The concept behind it is that you have water on demand at all times.
Right.
So there is a cost to having those facilities.
And is that's something relatively new, correct? Or is it,
A lot of folks are adopting it.
Yeah, it's been fixed. There's been a fixed portion of it. It just was the structure was increased. The fix went up and the variable went down a little bit percentage wise.
I think it makes sense if someone lives up in the Bay Area and they got a weekend house down here, they gotta chip in for the water
yeah.
infrastructure too, even if they only come down for weekends or something.
Right. And most of the costs are in getting pressurized water to your tap.
Yeah.
Whether or not the tap is open.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah, it's a
The
$500
water
million a bit.
actually falls from the sky and, that's not the hard part. Is it's making it available when you want
I
it.
used to, this was a subject of discussion down in Ridgecrest, and I used to tell people, oh, you don't have to pay for gas until you go get it. Yeah, but imagine having to just go out in your garage, you can pump gas in your car whenever you wanted to. That's the difference.
yep,
Yeah. It's good enough.
that's a good analogy.
Well, there are no other questions. I guess we can adjourn the meeting.
All right.
There's no other public comments or anything like that I sometimes miss, is there? Oh, we got informational material that was the previous minutes that everyone, of course, is welcome to.
You want to do anybody have any future agenda items?
Oh, yeah, any future agenda items? I'm happy to put on as an agenda item any discussion by the budget committee of the COP that we'll be voting on as a board and the simulation model. If you want to talk about
Sure.
stuff and future what ifs, whatever.
Will we have to give input on the CIP? The participation.
At this point, no.
Okay.
Unless you come in as a public member.
Okay.
Yeah, and everyone's welcome to come in at the board meeting and either remotely or in person.
It being considered for approval on the 19th by the board. So if it is passed, then anything that is presented here will be more of a, here's how we got here.
Okay.
Right. But any insights you have, what's nice about a model is that we can refine it, and Sherry's going to run with it, and we can give her, our input and say, well, what about this? Or let's build in this into it. Because the model right now has the two sources of revenue, fixed charges and how do they increase per year, and then the variable charges based on consumption. And how does that increase? So, there's a lot of moving parts that can be played with.
And does the board have a recommendation? Or are they presenting a recommendation that they're going to vote on? Is that how it works? Got it. Okay.
Right,
Yes,
staff
and I-
makes the recommendation and the board makes the decision.
Oh, I see. So y'all make the recommendation, the staff. Got it. Okay. And we can see the recommendation before the board meeting?
It'll be part of the
Part of
agenda.
the agenda.
It
Got
comes
it.
out Friday.
Yeah.
Friday. Okay.
Yeah.
All right.
So it's the
That sounds kind of
19th, so
exciting.
it's next week.
Next week, right? And
Okay.
it'll be out Friday of this week.
Friday the 13th.
Wow, the 13th.
All right.
Okay, that's scary. Okay, yeah. And so please read it because it'll have the full presentation by our financial advisor, who is an underwriter that we would be paying a fee to help us underwrite this and get it out to be sold to the investors.
Are you expecting any sort of controversy, or you think it's just to be a perfunctory matter?
Don't think so, but
I think the can's been kicked around enough that I think the controversy has been beat out of it.
yes, I hope that's true. Right, it's a smashed can at this point.
Yeah, it's a bit of-
Well,
Great analogies of this room.
well
Yeah.
compressed. Okay. All right. Well, thank you both for coming in. Taking some
Thank
time
you.
out. All right. And thanks to the rest of staff for coming. And thank you, Brian. Okay. All right.
Cool, thank you.
Thank you. Thanks, Scott.
Get this at the end of the year.